Good afternoon. This is Media Center Ukraine, Odesa. We are starting for today, and our first briefing will be dedicated to installment of modular bomb shelters in Odesa. Our current guest is Ilya Blokhin, head of the Safe Place for You project, and so they have installed such modular bomb shelters in Mykolaiv, Kherson, and now they are going to install them in Odesa. And our second guest is Oleksandr Voitko, director and founder of Miradima LLC, the company that produces such modular bomb shelters. Ilya Blokhin, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. We have installed 11 modular bomb shelters in the framework of the project, and the latest one was transported to Kherson last Friday. We have visited Kherson ourselves to see if these bomb shelters are popular, and we saw that they are, especially in the center of the city near the railway station. And we have not had any cases of hitting these modular bomb shelters, but we believe they are effective. But according to the head of the state military administration of Kherson, our modular bomb shelter has already saved several lives. Oleksandr. When we learned about such modular bomb shelters in Kherson, we started asking when we could expect something like this in Odesa. And why is this possible now in Odesa? And I think that this is related to the fact that on the 1st of September, we will have the opening of the educational year. And as far as I understand, that the main objective now is to have children, students there in such bomb shelters. This is a monolith construction, and when it comes to its capacity, they are more effective compared to split constructions, because our construction, our modular bomb shelters are monolith. This structure is armored, and we use very robust concrete, and its capacity, it's better than those made of different parts. How many bomb shelters is this planned to install in Odesa? 3 so far. And then we will see, depending on the situation. We will try to install as many bomb shelters as possible, not only in the city of Odesa, but also in the region of Odesa, not only near schools, but also at enterprises. It is not only for educational institutions. Such modular shelters can be also installed in industrial areas, because we've already had such cases when warehouses were hit by missiles and there are sandwich panels, and people were killed by debris. But now, only 3 modular bomb shelters are under discussion. Yes. Depending on the capacity, we have different type of constructions. We have a technical model with equipment needed for a shelter. And depending on the amount of people, we can add other modules with the exits, with emergency exits. We have 17 types of site shelters, 17 modules that can be assembled according to the needs. So these can be kindergarten, schools, enterprises, and not always the area is the same there. So, and there are different dimensions needed, and we can just shuffle our models to meet the needs. And Ilya would like to add something, and we have a question from the floor. As far as I understand, there are 3 facilities with bomb shelters, one for 100 persons and another 140 persons. So this will be the whole structure. So it doesn't mean that we will have only one module. There will be several modules assembled according to the needs. And I'm happy that we work with this constructor because we know that they have recently installed the modular bomb shelter for the Red Cross in Kherson, and we understand that if the International Committee of Red Cross is ready to buy such bomb shelter, they are quite efficient. Can you hear me? Vyacheslav Golovchin, Oberski Tishtin from Mykolaiv. There are several such bomb shelters in Mykolaiv provided by you and also by local manufacturer. And in Kiev, there is Makhno architecture company that offered 40 centimeters of the upper layer. And in your case, it's 10 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken. No. Okay, then my question is, can these bomb shelters used by other people? Because in Mykolaiv, they're used by homeless people, unfortunately. And local TV channels have already shown this. What do you think about this? You can change your design to make it more urbanistic. And is there a need to increase the thickness of the shelter? The first bomb shelter installed in Mykolaiv in Korabelny district, where the area near the Ukrainian Postal Service was hit by the missiles. The thickness of the upper part is 40 centimeters, and the weight of the whole construction is 70 tons. And now this average thickness of the upper slate is like 30-40 centimeters. As for Makhno studio that you've already mentioned, we have thoroughly studied the experience of different countries, including Israel, and people are just very experienced there, and the experts are quite skeptical about Makhno offer because they want to use 3D printer, and the question is about the steel construction, the armor, how they are going to produce them. The visualization is very beautiful, but it will be made of plastic using a 3D printer, and how are they going to armor it? And their studio just could not answer the question. So they just made a beautiful picture. There was no competition. So a designer can draw everything he or she wants. But as for Mykolaiv, there are municipal bomb shelters that have been covered by the local budget. There is a split construction, and according to officials, they want to deconstruct it and use it for roads. And this is up to them to decide. As for homeless people, they are also people. We should start with this, but the situation should be monitored. The same is actually in Kherson. We see that homeless people use it in Kherson, and there is a mess there now. But our mission was to install these bomb shelters, but I cannot just control it. Has it been included to the like property of local authorities? Yes, in Kherson, the owner is now the municipal military administration, and in Mykolaiv it's Smetana Gorelektotrans. So it is because the bomb shelters were installed near the bus stops, and these services are now responsible for that. So what was offered by Makhno study is very beautiful, but we're not sure that this will be effective. We have two questions from our journalist watching this press conference in law. The first is very short. When are you going to install these bomb shelters and where? And the second question is longer. Could you make such bomb shelters even more safer, just to cover them with soil? And can such bomb shelters be used near a block of flats to be used by residents of such areas where there are a lot of block of flats, but there are not so many bomb shelters? So as for the when we are going to install. So the first will be installed and assembled starting from the 31st of July. One of it will be near the school at the 13th station, Fontaine. The second one on Makhachkalinskaya Street, and the third shelter will be for kindergarten, and I don't remember the name of the street now. It will be not far from Makhachkalinskaya Street, Poselok Kotovskovo area. As for safety of such bomb shelters, their constructions with the thickness of walls up to 10 centimeters. Yes, they just put in the soil and the ground, and you can also do the same with the bomb shelter. But we should understand the geology there. This underground water. We should isolate everything there and to connect different types of water and electricity supply. So they can do this. But unfortunately, they cannot substitute the real bomb shelters, because for the real bomb shelters, like traditional ones, their thickness should be half a meter or a meter and a half. And thickness of our walls around 40 centimeters. The first construction that was brought to Mykolaiv, we made it bigger, and it took us 3 vehicles to transport such bomb shelters, and this makes logistics even difficult. Sometimes difficult even to unload such bomb shelters with cranes. So we just use robust materials, and also as for dimensions, it is easier to transport such modular bomb shelters, and there are also cranes that could unload them. The 3 mentioned modular bomb shelters, is it kind of a pilot project? Several weeks ago, we had the head of the local educational department, Alona Benevich. We have also invited her for today, but unfortunately she could not visit us today. And she mentioned that kindergartens were facing the issues with the bomb shelters. That's why these kindergartens could not be opened. So if this is really a pilot project, are you planning to install more such bomb shelters near kindergartens or public places or near warehouses and in industrial areas? I think that pilot project is already over, because we have already developed the design and the procedure for our work. So we have developed a set of modules that can be installed. But their first task is to protect from debris. So of course, if there is a direct hit by a missile like Iskander, they will not be able to protect people, unfortunately. So why are we installing such bomb shelters now? Because we don't have enough time, and it is easier and quicker to produce such modular bomb shelters comparing to traditional ones. So they're easier, they're simpler to manufacture. And we have a clarification question from the same journalist. What is the capacity of your company? How many bomb shelters can you produce per month? When we started, it was around 15 units per month, 15 bomb shelters per month. But now we have established cooperation, and I think that we can now reach 30 modular bomb shelters or even more. And so, of course, this depends on investments and on the orders that we receive. As for the pilot project, during the municipal session, the head of the educational department mentioned that, saying that they are going to test these bomb shelters to see how they can be used in practice. As far as I understand, just looking at the designs and the quality certificates, these bomb shelters can be put on the surface because they are of the first class of such shelters that could be installed on the surface. Of course, if the thickness of the walls is quite low, they could be put in the ground, so they could just dig them into, and but they also need to use some additional layers of sand, soil, etc. But this increases the expenses to ensure the power, water supply. But our bomb shelters are based on the Israel experience. In Mykolaiv, CCTV has been installed to monitor the situation there. The question is there is a demand for such modular bomb shelters during air raid alerts? So we have our own observations, and of course, usually when we install something near a bus station, people just don't like it. But when there is no bomb shelter, and if a stop is hit by a missile, people are in panic, and they start asking why there is no bomb shelter near the bus station. So we just install our bomb shelters for people to be able to see the arriving buses. In Kherson, we put our bomb shelter in the place where that was hit on the 25th of February. That was Mykolaiv motorway, and 6 people were killed there. Of course, our bomb shelter could spare lives of those people. So we need to raise awareness of people. They need to understand the algorithm of their action. Those people who are experienced in terms of shelling, they recognize the sound, the whistle of missiles, and they understand what they should do. But this is the responsibility of local authorities to raise awareness of people about what they should do in case of air raid alerts. One more question from our colleague. The first bomb shelter that you're going to install, what will be the location? In Makhachkalinskaya Street, we are going to install the last one. The first will be installed at the 13th station, the second one near the kindergarten. These are our plans. They can be amended, but it will be in Peresovsky Rayon. I have a question about the manufacture process. Does it depend on atmosphere temperature? Is it better for you to work in summer because you work with concrete? If the temperature is too high, it is also not very good. The ideal temperature for concrete is 15 and up to 30 degrees above 0 Celsius. It is hot now, so we are going to work in the evening. Just to ensure the robustness of the concrete that we use. So in the winter, there are some additives that we can just add to the concrete to be able to work even when it's 5 degrees below 0. And in summer, we also have some additives to avoid cracks. I've already discussed this with our colleagues, and we will have to add some chemicals to avoid some small cracks. So too low temperatures are bad, too high temperature also bad, so ideal is 10, 25 degrees. So unfortunately we need to stop now because the next briefing will be 12:30. Please stay tuned, and the next briefing will be dedicated to the results of the Ukrainian team at the International Computer Project Competition of Infometrics 2023, and this is very important for the winners. Ilya and Oleksandr, thank you for being with us, and hopefully you will visit us again with some updates about mobile bomb shelters. Thank you, and see you at 12:30, so in 20 minutes.